Yaddle Chattle! It's a Star Wars podcast, baby, hosted by yours truly, Eastside Dave McDonald. Some call me Eastside Dave, some call me Davey Mac. Others on this particular program refer to me as Darth David. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, it's our Mandalorian and Grogu special. We wanted to take our time with it. We wanted to see the box office numbers, and we wanted to get all of the news stories and different things, different aspects about the movie ready to go for this particular episode, since this will be the last Yaddle Chattle until the next series or movie. Remember, Yaddle Chattle is a post-Star Wars show, meaning when the movie comes out, when a good series comes out, not just live action, we just did Maul. So if it's a big-time animated series such as Maul, which was sensational, Maul Shadow Lord, we will be doing a Yaddle Chattle, just so you know. If you like where this energy, this type of insanity, may I suggest checking out the Davey Mac Sports program, even if you don't like sports. It's me. We bring the energy, we bring the juice, and we're doing it live from Wits Comedy Network in New York City. So the DMSP has returned to the Big Apple. We're very excited by that. We're very excited to be supported by Wits Comedy Network. In fact, Wits Comedy Network says they might even be building a Wits Sports Network, and the two pillars would be Jay Moore with more sports and the Davey Mac Sports program. So please, make sure you're watching that. Hey, subscribe to Modern Day Man. That's another show we're doing. It's fantastic. Myself and Aaron Berg. The summer's here. Berg is a phenomenal stand-up comedian, but he's on tour here and there. So just watch for the episodes to pop up as they will. Davey Mac Sports program, though, is weekly. Another great show, Tales from the Satellite, that we do every 2 weeks. So make sure you are checking that out. We put the older episodes up on YouTube for free if you want to get them a month to 2 months. These days, it's almost 2 months before they are unveiled on YouTube. Please subscribe to patreon.com/EastsideDave. You get a couple extras. You get some bonus material. You get some fun stuff. You get exclusive content, and you get early access to everything. I upload all of the stuff, the Davey Mac Sports program, the Tales from the Satellite, even the Yaddle Chattle, all gets uploaded to Patreon before it goes anywhere else. So check that out, patreon.com/EastsideDave. And I'm telling you all this because it's Yaddle Chattle, baby. It's a Star Wars podcast. But I just saw a news story that says that might be it for 2026. I mean, it's June. I would hope that I can do another Yaddle Chattle before then. But it looks like with the release of The Mandalorian and Grogu, that might be the last of it. In the movie theaters or on Disney+. Not expecting another big-time animated series like Maul to happen. It doesn't look like there's going to be any live-action series because Ahsoka Season 2 has been pushed back to 2027. The Ryan Gosling movie, Star Wars Starfighter, is 2027. So I don't know. Perhaps we'll do a little special here and there, but I don't like to get bogged down, and I hate to disappoint people. And people say, oh, you said you're going to do a special or two. Maybe. If organically there's a reason to do a special, then we will. And maybe we'll do something if there's absolutely no Star Wars, something in the fall, something in the winter to be all fun and to be all cozy, and we can all enjoy our Star Wars chat together. But tonight, it is about The Mandalorian and Grogu, okay? And let me tell you something, my friends, just so you don't have to wait around too long. Early opinion, thumbs up. You heard that, right? Thumbs up. In fact, I like to say 2 9-numbs up. Put the graphic on the board. Yes, 2 9-numbs up. The movie if you're a Mandalorian fan such as I am, I don't see how you could dislike this movie. I really don't. I thought it was a very fun movie. I thought the action sequences were sensational. I thought there was a nice, easy plot to understand. It was a fun adventure. I really dug it. In some ways, it reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Just a fun, and I'm a massive Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom fan. I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan, period. But similar to how Return of the Jedi was my first theatrical Star Wars experience that I can remember. My mother was actually pregnant with me in 1977 when she took my 3 older brothers to Star Wars. Technically, I was in the theater then. And I was told I was in the theater for Empire Strikes Back, but I would have been 2.5 because I'm born in November. So when these movies come out in May and they always see them opening weekend, I would have been 2.5 in Empire Strikes Back. I'm not going to lie, zero memory. Who am I, Einstein? What am I, Stephen Hawking over here? I can remember things when I'm 2.5 years old. Only geniuses like those guys, like a Stephen Hawking, can remember when he's 2.5 years old. Okay? And I ain't Stephen Hawking. Do you hear a robot voice coming from me? Hi, it's Darth David, and welcome to Yaddle Chattle, a Star Wars podcast. Because you don't hear a robot voice. I ain't Hawking. So I have no recollections of Empire Strikes Back, but I have every recollection at the age of 5.5 of seeing Return of the Jedi in the movie theater. I can tell you the day it was, the fact that it was like 78 to 80 degrees, beautiful day, almost a summer day, but there were showers, what we call here in New Jersey sun showers. Sky was perfectly sunny, and yet somehow it's raining. We're going, what the hell's going on over here? And my mom would always get grief because she was born in 1941. And basically, they didn't even have air. She's born in the Bronx, in New York City. They didn't even have air conditioning. So she says she and her sister, my Aunt Ellie, and my grandparents, they would go to the movie theater just to stay cool. But then you stay there for 4 hours. You actually then begin to get chilly. So my mom's biggest thing has always been, even if you go to a movie in July and it's 100 degrees, bring a sweatshirt. Bring a sweatshirt. You're gonna get cold after a while. You stay in there for an hour, you start getting chilly. She was right about this because we had the sun showers. So even though it was warm outside, we got a little wet. Next thing you know, 20 minutes into the movie, I'm freezing. Like it's hot over here. Like I need to mount a wampa or a tauntaun or both. I mean, I know Luke did the tauntaun, but I'm a Darth. I'm a Sith Lord. Darth David views himself as the dark side user. Shouldn't I be mounting a wampa instead of the tauntaun? That would be awesome, to ride a wampa, or he's just giving me like a piggyback ride. That would be fun. We get in the pool against Luke, who's on a tauntaun, and we play chicken. Do you ever do that? You get on someone's shoulders and you play chicken in the pool. You basically, you try to push them all over. Whoever pushes the person on the shoulders over first, they win. I'm sorry. You put Darth David in a wampa in a pool, I don't care if we do have to go against Skywalker and his stupid tauntaun. We're winning that matchup. Okay? Bottom line is, she was right because I was freezing in the movie theater, but I had my sweatshirt. I had a little New York Yankees sweatshirt. I can remember getting the Reese's Pieces. I can remember getting Sprite or 7-Up. It was definitely a lemon lime soda. I remember everything about Return of the Jedi. And this movie actually has been the first Star Wars movie in the Disney era that gave me that popcorn and candy Star Wars feel to it. And so did Temple of Doom, going back to that. That was the first Indiana Jones movie I saw in the theater, 1984, and I loved it, that's why it bothers me when Lucas or Spielberg talk about Temple of Doom. They always talk about it like it's absolute dog shit, and I'm like, guys, there's a whole generation of kids who love Temple of Doom. Stop it. I mean, I'm a little kid. I'm seeing the guy's heart get ripped out of his chest. It was amazing. What are we talking about here? But this movie, and I love Rogue One. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. I'm actually a Solo guy. I'm one of the freaks who likes the Solo movie. We all know what happened with The Last Jedi, and the killing of Luke Skywalker started a chain reaction that killed the sequel trilogy. It fucked up episode 9, and it destroyed a lot of characters. Not just Luke Skywalker dying, it took away Finn's momentum. He had no reason to be there. The Luke decision, the decision of killing Luke off in episode 8 is still one of those mind-boggling, perplexing, horrible decisions in storytelling history. Just made no sense. But anyway, you want to get into some of that. Plenty of Yaddle Chattles in the past that you can check that out. I rant and rave about what should have happened in episode 8 and 9, but that's not tonight. Tonight, it's about the Mandalorian and it's about Grogu. And we're going to do what we do, which is we're going to recap, because the recap helps me jog the memory there of the stuff that I like, maybe the stuff that I'm a little bit critical of. We're going to give you some Star Wars news towards the end, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. And we're going to wish you have a wonderful summer, okay? So let's get into it, because, man, oh man, this movie started with a bang. I mean, we're on a snow planet. Mando is taking down Imperial walkers. There is a Imperial warlord in one of the walkers, in the lead walker. Mando's taking him out. He's blasting them. It's insane. He goes, walker by walker, blowing him up and different things like that, and then finally gets to the third walker where the Imperial warlord is. That guy flees. He flees on a ship. And fortunately, Mando, he grabs the gun of one of the walkers, shoots that Imperial warlord out of the sky. It crashes. Mando flies out of the Imperial walker with Grogu into the air and is picked up by Zeb. And then we go into opening credits for a Star Wars movie. This is one of the little things I will criticize. Didn't dig it. Don't like it. Not necessary. Not at all. Star Wars to me is such a, not just mythological entity, but come on. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I don't want to see credits. I don't want to be reminded that this is a movie created by human beings from the planet Earth. I don't. I want to be right in the middle of that galaxy that is far, far away from here. And I think that the opening credits brought us back down to planet Earth. Not a fan. Please don't do that again. Wasn't a killer, because I'm giving this 2.9 thumbs up. But I do have criticisms. I have some legit criticism. Not a killer. Just don't need it. Who needs it? Come on, let's not do that again. Jeez Louise. We got closing credits, ending credits. Put them there. We'll see them. Everyone will see them. We... Once we're finished with the opening credits, we are on the Rebel base, or is it the Resistance base, or what are these people called anyway? They obviously can't be rebels, since we're 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, so it's the New Republic, so you wouldn't be rebelling against the New Republic, you wouldn't be resisting the New Republic. Do we have a name? Are they just Republic? Is this the Army of the Republic? Maybe we should clarify that, because they still feel like a ragtag bunch of rebels. Now just insert Sigourney Weaver, who is just fine. Love Sigourney Weaver, Aliens, Ghostbusters. I know she's in the Avatar. I'm not nuts about those movies the way I am with the Aliens movies, and obviously with Ghostbusters. But she's great. Sigourney Weaver's great. The only thing about Sigourney Weaver in this movie, how many times did she tell Mando, "It was a little messy, Mando"? Like, she literally used the word messy multiple times, at least twice. So that constitutes multiple. Don't give me guff. Maybe 3 times. She's always telling him messy. Messy job, Mando. Messy job. You know what, Sigourney? You do it. That would be my response if I'm the Mandalorian. Oh, really? You feel you could do better? Why don't you do it then? You're just hanging out. drinking Mai Tais by the beach. And honestly, it does look like a really nice place to go on vacation. That rebel slash resistance slash Republic Army base. It's really nice. And they're grilling, it looks like. And they got cocktails. I mean, they built themselves a bar, for crying out loud. And that's the way you do it. Anyway, Sigourney Weaver says, look, you got to fly to Nal Hutta, the world, the planet of the Hutts, and you got to rescue. You have to basically find out information about where this Rada the Hutt is, because the twins are there on Nal Hutta, and Rada is their nephew, the son of Jabba the Hutt. And basically, if you are able to get Rada to the twin Hutts, they then will give us information on one of the big Imperial warlords. All right, I guess that makes some sense, and I'm good with it. So there he goes. He's off. Mando is off. And he goes and he lands on Nal Hutta, wherever the hell it is. And he goes, and the twins go, oh, he's in this other place where he's fighting. I forget. Was the other, were the fighting pits a different planet? Or were they also Nal Hutta? I was a little bit confused about that. Regardless, the Hutts say, yeah, he's fighting in the pits now. You got to go get him. He is being owned by an Imperial warlord named Janu Coin, I believe. And you got to go rescue his ass. So, okay, let's go to the pits. And that's when Mando sees, oh, this guy has turned into, he's Maximus. He's the best gladiator of all time. I mean, look at this guy. And he would tear up Joaquin Phoenix in a heartbeat. Oh my God, he'd probably tear his torso off his little legs and just start eating his legs right in front of him, while the torso part is like, oh my God. That's what I imagine there. He sees that Rada has turned into this heralded gladiator, and then when Rada goes back to his prison cell, he goes, okay, I'm here to rescue you. Yeah, I mean, you're clearly a very good gladiator, but your aunt and uncle, the Hutt twins, have commissioned me to bring you back to them. And he's like, I don't want to go with them. I'm Jabba's son. They see me as a power threat. They're going to kill me. And he's like, come on, man. I don't have time for this. And he's like, I ain't going nowhere, Mando. And that's when then Mando gets taken. And all of a sudden, he gets electrified. And then the next thing you know, Mando's eyes close. His eyes open up. All of a sudden, oh, he's in the Coliseum there. He's in the fighting pits with Rada. It's now developed into a Mando versus Rada the Hutt match. Unbelievable. We have another scene of fantastic action the entire time. Mando's like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. Help me. Stop it. Very reminiscent of the Thor Incredible Hulk situation there from Thor Ragnarok, where one of the parties in the fighting pits didn't want to actually fight. Mando figures out a loophole. He's able to basically get Rada the Hutt on his ass, and before he kills him, he goes, hey, I yield, and now everybody's good. But this part was great. They go, oh, no, screw you. We're making this thing a live-action Djarik board. The little hologram chess game from episode 4, A New Hope. And I guess it popped up again in episode 7 of Force Awakens. Did it pop up in Solo? I sort of forget. But we've seen this Djarik thing. This was awesome. To me, see, that's being clever. That's actually being fun, Easter eggy, without getting in the way. Because if you didn't know, it was just a bunch of awesome-looking monsters that now Mando and Rada have to team up and defeat. Sensational stuff. I really dug this. And that's exactly what they do. they get Mando and Rada, and they team up. They start kicking these monsters' ass, and they start, dominating them, and then they are able to escape. And it looks like it's going to be Mando and Grogu and Rada escaping together. But then Rada, he gets into a speeder and is like, "I'm out of here. Screw you guys." And we have another great action scene, great chase sequence. A lot of great action in this movie. But eventually, Mando with his jetpack, Grogu with that, flying baby cradle thing. They're behind him, and they force him into sort of a blockade that Zeb sets up. Zeb catches him with his ship, and they take Rada aboard Zed's ship, and they bring him back. Okay? Excellent stuff. And as they're bringing him back, Rada's like, "Why are you taking me to the twins? They're evil. You talked to them." And Mando tries to explain to him, "Well, if we give you to the Hutt twins, they're going to give us info on this Imperial warlord. His last name is Coin." And Rada's like, "That's my owner, you dummy. All you could have done is asked. You just ask me next time. We can avoid this whole thing with the twins. We don't have to ever see the twins." Interesting. I liked it. They get Rada back to the base. Sigourney Weaver again judges Mando. I forget if it's here where she says it was messy again, but she kind of frowns upon his methods from time to time. She seemed, you remember the movie Untouchables? You remember that? Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Andy Garcia was in it. And at one point they're in Canada, and they're the American police, and they have to do some dirty stuff, and they take a corpse and they blow his brains out. And then the Canadian Mountie guy goes, "I do not approve of your methods." And then Kevin Costner goes, "Well, you're not from Chicago." Remember that? That's the way Sigourney Weaver gave me that Canadian Mountie vibe. And if I'm Mando, I'm just like, "Lady, you're sheltered on this goddamn paradise Disney resort place. Okay? I'm out there scrambling. I'm out there in the real world. Whether it's Tatooine or this now Hutta or whatever, I'm the one getting the dirt. All over the place here. Okay, please, enough with the judgmental behavior, Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, so he gives Jabba over, and that's it. And then Mando and Grogu, I guess, head back to their place, their little house from the Mandalorian show, TV show, and that's when we see Embo from Star Wars Rebels and his wolf being shown in live action. I thought the character design looked pretty cool. I enjoyed the spooky, sinister, kind of silent vibe, no talking. I thought he was really scary. He was really intimidating. I thought the wolf could have been bigger. That was my only little tiny criticism, but I enjoyed it. Embo's there, and he electrifies Mandalorian. He catches him, and he puts the Mandalorian now on his ship, and he takes him away. Grogu was watching all of this, and he is now using, he's getting the help of the Anzellans, the little Babu freaks from Rise of Skywalker, and now we've seen them multiple times in The Mandalorian, and they're a part of this. And basically Grogu's like, "Hey, I need your help. You got to help me find my Mando." And they're like, "Absolutely." The thing I love about the Anzellans is they're like real rebel soldiers. They're like hardcore, like there is no hesitation with those little guys. They are just like, "Absolutely. If there's a mission to do, let's do it." The only time they balked was when when the guy was like, "Can you fix IG-11 in The Mandalorian season 3?" And they're like, no, he broke it. Yeah, he broke it. That was the only time, because they're like, "I can't fix this bullshit." But if you give them a mission, You give them an actual, like, an adventure to do, it's like, "Oh, yeah, we're in, sign us up, we gotta get Mando." I love those guys. I really do. And one of the things that they remind me of as a fan of Fraggle Rock growing up is they have a Fraggle Rock vibe. I want to see everything. I want to see the Anzellans. I want to see their home planet. I believe they probably have little buildings made of crystals, just like the Fraggles. Hopefully, they don't have any enemies like the Dozers, who were the Fraggles' enemies, of course. Those big monsters who would eat their own buildings. What kind of animals would do this? Who goes around trying to eat the Chrysler building in New York City? It's preposterous. Anyway, I love the Anzellans. So it's Anzellans and Grogu on their way to now Hutta to figure out how we can free the Mandalorian, who I guess has been taken by Embo because of the twins. He's there to deliver Mando to the twins because Mando did not give him Rada. And they're there and they're like, "You son of a bitch. Where is he? You betrayed us." The twins I'm talking about, the Hutt twins, have Mando in front of them and they're like, "You betrayed us. Now we're going to shame you." They remove his helmet. So Pedro Pascal's face gets in the movie. And then they send him into a Sarlacc pit, or, as I'm learning right now, it is just generically called a punishment pit. Because you can have a Sarlacc in there, or you can have, in this case, there was a giant dragon snake in there. The creature who sucked on R2-D2 in The Empire Strikes Back. We never saw him. But apparently the dragon snake was in the swamps of Dagobah, and he tried eating R2, and he was like, "Oh, shit, this sucks." That happened to me with caviar one time. Don't ask me what kind of swanky party the Dave Man was at. Darth David rarely gets invited to any sort of swanky parties that serve caviar, but one time I was invited. It was the Writers Guild Christmas party, of which I've been a member of the Writers Guild for years and years and years. And that takes place in the Friars Club in New York City, and they were serving caviar, and I swear to God, I was like Tom Hanks in Big. I don't know if he was eating caviar or what was it, beluga or whatever, but oh my God, it was horrible. And I'm like, this is terrible. You can't tell, this is expensive, and yet you can't tell me this is better than a Big Mac or a Whopper. You can't. Disgusting. So Mando gets thrown into the punishment pit. He's got the helmet off, the big dragon snake. Now, Mando does beat a couple of little creatures in there. He made quick work of them. It's really the fight that takes place is really with the giant dragon snake, and he tries all kinds of things. He does get a spear, and at one point he's able to, because the Hutts throw his helmet down in the punishment pit. At one point he's able to get to the side and get the helmet, put it back on. He's got a spear, and then the dragon snake bites him. He's got him in his, basically in his mouth. You know what that reminded me? Quint from Jaws. Didn't Quint even have a spear? He was trying to poke Jaws with the spear while he was in the clutches of Jaws' teeth. This had a very similar Quint Jaws type of deal. Not a complaint. An observation. Love Jaws. Okay, so not a complaint. But I do think that Filoni and Favreau, I know this is Jon Favreau movie, and I think Filoni adds a little bit of this. I think that they love the Lucas shout-outs and the Spielberg shout-outs when they can. And this was a time where, hey, we can have a little Jaws type scene. Mando's hitting this guy, this dragon snake with the spear, and then finally he sees across the punishment pit, there is Grogu and the Anzellans. And they got a detonator, and there's a little grate, basically like a small little grate. We saw one of those in the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. Same kind of premise. They're going to blow that crate up, and Mando can swim out of there. They can all swim the heck out of there. And then we get a nice little water slide scene, which is always fun to see on IMAX. It's always a lot of fun. It, again, harkens back to me with the Temple of Doom. When they're in that little, basically a roller coaster in the mine, on one of those little things there. That was a lot of fun. And they escape, and Grogu does it. Grogu and the Anzellans save Mando. Only one problem: Mando got bit hard by the dragon snake, and as we know, snakes have venom within them. So even though Grogu takes him, he heals the wound. He's able to close the wound. It looks apparently he's not able to get the venom out. So he's like, "What the hell am I going to do?" And he brings Mando to like this little forest, this little swamp, this little village. He hides Mando with some logs and some twigs and whatnot, and he starts stealing fish from this old alien fishing guy. I don't know if he was rejected cast member of Deadliest Catch. He kind of reminded me of Sig Hansen, the captain of the Norwegian. For all you Deadliest Catch fans out there, that's who he reminded me of. So sue me. But as we know, he seems like a nice guy. He was a nice, friendly old fisherman. He's like, "Listen, there's something obviously special with you, and I apparently your guy got hit by the dragon snake there. Give him this little whatever it is, a little meal. It's medicine, antidote, whatever it is. This little medicine meal will help Mando recover, flush the poison right out of his system." And that's exactly what happens. And so Mando recovers. Grogu's like, "Hi." The Anzellans are there. They're like, "Let's go. Let's get the hell out of here." All of them go to the Anzellan's ship, and the ship is, it's as big as a goddamn, sneaker box, for crying out loud. It's tiny. How is Mando going to fit in the ship? Did anybody think about this? Come on, Grogu. With all due respect, son, this is you. This is your mission. You're the guy in charge. Even above the Anzellans. You got to be like, maybe we should fly a bigger ship. Or have get Zeb in a big ship and then put the Anzellans' little ship inside Zeb's ship. So we got two ships. But at least this way, we know that we got a ship big enough for Mando. Come on, man. I loved it. So then Grogu, this is the part. So after they leave, like I said, Grogu, he stays around. He stays around to help out his Mando. He gives him that medicine. Mando's okay. He comes back to life. There's some monsters all of a sudden that pop up out of nowhere. That's it. He kills them. And then he reunites with Grogu. And he's like, "All right, well, thank you. First of all, thank you. Secondly, what exactly do you think we should do about this? Should we get the hell out of here, or should we fight?" And Grogu, he's ready to fight, dog. At one point in this movie, there was a great part of Grogu gearing up. Putting on the little forearm blaster thing, putting on the shield, getting his weapons ready. And that to me was hysterical. I loved it. I love seeing serious, heavy music and someone gearing up for war, and it's this little tiny green monster. I thought that was great. A fun little touch. So basically, Mando and Grogu say, "Screw it. Let's go back. Let's go to, find out the twins, what they're doing with Rada, and let's go. Let's take them down, because this is ridiculous." And that's exactly what they do. Mando gets in front of the twins, and Grogu goes to the prison section of the twins, the Hutt Twin Palace, and he's able to free Rada. He's able to use the little force there, get all the electric nonsense off of him, get him out of there. And so Mando is right about to kill those sons of bitches, the Hutts. He says, "You seen my face. Now you got to die." And right when he's about to blast him, here comes Embo and the wolf back. But that's okay. Here comes Grogu and Rada. So we get a triple threat match between Rada the Hutt and the Twin Hutts. And that was insane looking. We get a Mando versus Embo match. And then we get a Grogu versus Embo's wolf match. Let's start with that one. Grogu just puts the guy to sleep. Like Roddy Piper. did the Adrian Adonis, WrestleMania 3, with the Sweet Irene or whatever the hell Roddy Piper used to call that move. But yeah, he would put people to sleep. That's it. It's over. Done. That's what Grogu does to the wolf. Sleepy, sleepy, nap, nap time. Mando and Embo having a great match, but Mando does get the advantage. He's able to get an electrified staff, hit Embo, and he's able to take him down. And then Rada has the two Hutts, and he's slamming, I think, the brother Hutt's head into that, the grate, which was, if you're Hutts, you got to use some strong metal or steel or something. This looked like it was made out of wood and twigs. And it looked like the sister Hutt was like, stop it. Stop slamming him into it. We're on top of it. You're going to kill us all. And Rada doesn't listen. He's slamming the head, and indeed the whole thing cracks, and then they're all going to fall into the punishment pit. And if you watch closely, so did Embo and his wolf. They also went into the punishment pit. The Hutt twins, the brother and sister, fall down in the punishment pit, as does Rada. But all of a sudden, who comes floating out of who doesn't die? It's Rada the Hutt. Because little baby Grogu's got the Force. And he levitates Rada out of the hut, saves the day, and there you have it. Do the twins die? I don't think so. They could have kept that open-ended. In fact, it's quite possible Embo and his wolf and the Rada, and the Hutt twins all survive. Who knows? That sea snake, dragon snake, I should say, was a little bit messed up by Mando. It's possible. And the dragon snake, now that I think about it, maybe he escaped, since they blew a hole in the wall of that punishment pit. So I think it's possible that the twins are alive in case we, down the road in another Mandalorian season on Disney Plus or potentially a movie. We'll see. I don't know how many movies there are going to be after... the box office, but nevertheless, right now it's about the movie. And so it's really cool. So they are able to defeat their enemies. We don't know what happened to them. They have to escape. And they're sort of cut off. They go through that palace. They get to what they think is a dead end. Mando's able to get a blaster. Apparently they're on the top of the palace. Mando calls in an airstrike with the X-Wings because Anzellans. The Anzellans got help. And the Anzellans brought back a whole squadron of X-Wings. And Mando tells them, just blow the holy, loving Shinola out of this place. Trust me, we're getting the hell out of here. We're going to jump. And that's exactly what they do. They jump into the water. The X-Wings take it down. I loved seeing the little computer graphics, similar to Episode 4 on the Y-Wings. Phenomenal. The Y-Wings, the X-Wings, they all look great. And they bomb the hell out of the Hutt Palace, and the Hutt Palace is completely destroyed. Again, because the Hutts, Embo and the Wolf, fell into the punishment pit, which was, basically below the palace. I still think they could be alive somehow. Anyway, they blow it up. They get Mando. They get Grogu. Everybody's safe and happy. They get back to the Rebel/Resistance/Republic army base. Right here, Sigourney Weaver definitely does say, again, it's messy. You did a messy job. At this point, it's the end of the movie. If I'm the Mandalorian, I consider taking out my blaster and shooting her. I'm sorry. The whole movie, you've been telling, all I'm doing is getting results. And you're quibbling. You got quibbles and nitpicks. And messy. Ugh. If I'm Mando, I'm like, thanks, Mom. It's like she's talking about his room, like his bedroom, like he's 14 years old. It's too much. Everyone makes it out alive. Rada looks like he's going to stay with the rebels. He says, I don't think, I'm going back to Nal Hutta. I think I'm going to stay here. And Zeb's like, I got a uniform you could use. Who? Zeb's a big guy, but his shirt's not going to fit Rada the Hutt. I mean, you're gonna need, unless did Zeb gain a lot of weight and lose weight recently? Maybe that's the issue. Maybe between Mandalorian seasons and this movie, he put on some weight. He's just sitting there drinking, margaritas, eating burgers on the beach all day at that gorgeous rebel resort. And maybe he did gain some weight, and he had to think. And then he finally realized, look, I'm gonna start going on missions with Mando. I'm gonna get into game shape. I'm gonna lose the weight. So he still has his fat shirt, and that's what he gave to Rada. Maybe that's it. As for Mando and Grogu, they fly away. And after we've seen seasons upon seasons and all kinds of things of Mando telling Grogu, stop hitting the button, don't touch the button, stop touching this, stop touching that. He finally is like, you know what? We just had a fun adventure. Hit the light speed button, pal. Which reminds me when sometimes my mom, there used to be this thing in cars. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they still happen. It was a Buick, early 90s, and it was called the power button. And you would push it. And I swear to God, I thought it was like, getting a mushroom in Mario Kart, where I'm going to hit the power button and just zoom, we're just going to take off. And I was allowed by my mother, Darth David was allowed to hit the power button every once in a while when we were on the Garden State Parkway needing to go fast. And let me tell you something, it was a thrill. I enjoyed hitting the power button on that Buick. And the movie closes with Mando letting Grogu hit that power button, hitting the light speed button as they go into hyperspace. End of movie. I loved it, man. I mean, like I said, listen to all that. That's just a tremendous amount of action. If you didn't like it, okay, you probably don't like The Mandalorian. It's probably not the movie for you. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed it being a Temple of Doom type of film where we're just having one kick-ass epic adventure after another. And there's a story there. But really, it's about, let's just have a tremendous amount of fun. Let's make it an amusement park ride. Let's just get out there and get crazy. As someone who is a massive Return of the Jedi fan, I love the Hutts. I wish we could have seen a Rancor monster in this, but we saw him on the Book of Boba Fett. So overall, 2-9 numbs up again. Now, this is what Star Wars desperately needs to do. Lucasfilm, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. You have to get rid of the Book of Boba Fett tab on Disney Plus. Get rid of it entirely. You're not getting rid of any of the content, but there should be no longer even be a Book of Boba Fett tab. You must rename the Book of Boba Fett. You must rename that show Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. And you must put that show between seasons 2 and 3 of The Mandalorian. Because if young kids and young people and teenagers and whatnot, or even adults for that matter, are going in saying, look, I just want to watch a fun movie, a fun Star Wars movie. And I think that's happened. It's not the blockbuster that everyone wants, but I think you are getting some young people and maybe even an adult or two who used to be a Star Wars fan who just hears, hey, it's a fun adventure. It's just a fun Star Wars movie. You have people ready to go and binge watch the hell out of The Mandalorian right now. You have them. Don't screw it up. The Book of Boba Fett was always a horrible title to put insanely important Mandalorian lore, like the reuniting of Mando and Grogu after Luke Skywalker takes Grogu at the end of episode 8 of season 2. The fact that we have Luke Skywalker at all in the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka Tano. All of this is insane. And Luke and Ahsoka talking about what kind of Jedi teacher. It's too insane to just hide under this is a fun little Book of Boba Fett spinoff. Stop it. Recognize what this always has been. A fun, in my opinion, by the way, I like that show. But we all know it's season 2.5. We all know it's season 2.5 of The Mandalorian. You get around it and you're honest with people in the same way you called this The Mandalorian and Grogu. That one's just called Boba Fett and The Mandalorian because the first 4 episodes are about Boba Fett. The last 3 episodes, then you got episodes 5 and 6 are Mando-centric. And then episode 7 is Mando people and Boba Fett people coming together. You must do this. Don't expect people to just all of a sudden know that, oh, they should be watching the Book of Boba Fett. It's a huge mistake. Take advantage of what you have right now. Golly. And I would suggest something else to Disney. Release a few, maybe the last 4 episodes of Mando season 2. Release them in theaters. And by the way, do they have any say over the ticket prices? Because obviously people can watch them on Disney Plus for free. But maybe you can make some sort of deal where it's $10 at the movie theater. Or people show them their Disney Plus subscription so that they know that they're paying for them already and it's for free. Or $8. I'm not saying right now while Mando and Grogu is still in the movie theater, but I would say you got it all finished. Try to get as many people into the Mandoverse right now as you can. Because despite the box office, it's my belief that young people and lapsed Star Wars adults are some of them are seeing this movie. I know because I have a friend who's not a Disney Star Wars fan at all and didn't watch Mando and decided to take his 2 kids, got 2 sons, decided to take them to the Mandalorian and Grogu because the kids wanted to see the movie. And he said he had a great time. And now he's like, should I go back and watch the Mandalorian thing? I'm like, yes, you should. But Jesus Christ, then there's this thing of, okay, so you can't watch season 2 of The Mandalorian and go right into season 3. You can't do it. You got to watch Book of Boba Fett. Oh, Book of Boba Fett. Well, I'm a big Boba Fett fan. Well, okay, you got to watch that. It's just like, it's too confusing. Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, and you put it between seasons 2 and 3, and you don't even have a Boba Fett tab. By the way, there's a making of Book of Boba Fett. I want that to stay on Disney Plus. Like I want all the content, like I said, to stay, but it's got to be organized better, and it really has to be put between seasons 2 and 3. It's just stupid not to have that. So let's talk about it. Mando, right now, as we are doing this on June 8th, 2026, Mando is at $290 million, which is not good according to insiders. They're saying it has to make at least $500 million to show a little bit of a profit, $600 million to be like, okay, this was okay thing. And that's globally, by the way. This is $290 million globally as well. But obviously, it got $120 million or so around there. Opening weekend, Memorial Day weekend, which was a 4-day weekend. It dropped tremendously in weekend 2, and it's dropped even more in weekend 3. You can go to plenty of websites where they're saying, yep, Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is this. Star Wars is that. Look, here's the bottom line. When it comes to that, you can't spend the last 3 or 4 years antagonizing and belittling fans. I don't care what you are or who you are. And I've seen this as a New York Football Giants fan, as a Yankees fan, as a WWE fan, as a Marvel fan. I've seen time and time again where people don't accept responsibility and accountability for their horrible decisions and their mistakes, not the audience, the fans who have paid money year in and year out to support you. It's your mistakes, okay? And the bottom line is you took a male-centric, not my words, Kathleen Kennedy said Star Wars fandom is dominated by males. So then why did you feminize the franchise? And this movie's not feminized, folks. This is just a fun movie. Guys can get into this. Little boys can get into this. But this is what you did. You used Star Wars as yet another, the billionth entertainment property that you used it to sermonize, to infuse modern day issues, societal issues, contemporary problems that exist in the world, and that's never been Star Wars. And I don't give a shit who you are and who you think you are, that where you think Star Wars has always been. No, it hasn't. You can go back and read George Lucas articles or see George Lucas interviews from the late 70s, early 80s, and he said we were coming out of JFK assassination, Martin Luther King assassination, Vietnam, Watergate. It was depressing to be in America. I just wanted to give people hope, happiness, and escapism. I did not want to reinforce the issues of the day. I wanted people to escape from the issues of the day with fantasy. That's what George Lucas said. That is what Star Wars has always been. To put modern day culture into Star Wars sucks. And it's a horrible decision. And the wrong people have been leading Star Wars. And the wrong voices within the critic circles are people who should just not be listened to. They're dopes, like Sarah from Laney Gossip. Sarah from Laney Gossip, this is a website, found this online. She's actually a member of the Chicago Films Critics Association. She's another member of a National Critics Association. So this is a person with real credentials. Here's a quote. It never really mattered how good or bad Kathleen Kennedy's leadership was. It was fine. It was always about the sheer number of boys who were mad a woman was in charge of Star Wars. Well, now they don't have to worry about that anymore, and Kathleen Kennedy can go on a fucking vacation, close quote. Those are her words, not mine. Holy shit. Sarah and all of these other critics, whether they're women or men, seriously, get your head out of your fucking ass and stop being a slave to modern day issues and contemporary society. It had nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy being a woman. It had everything to do with killing Luke Skywalker in the second act of a 3-act play and giving us The Acolyte, the worst show in the history of television. Not just Star Wars, the most embarrassing, the cheapest, the sloppiest, the poorest written show ever. The characters, every single one, was a wishy-washy, depressed, morose, nothing to get into character. The writing, the characters themselves contradicted what they themselves had said and what we're going to do. Sometimes, multiple times in the episode. The crazy thing about sexism leveled at the guys was the most sexist thing happened in The Acolyte, which is the girl, Osha or whatever, sees, she sees this Sith Lord wannabe, this guy from Twilight, murder all her friends very brutally. And she's like, well, I have to get him back, for my friends. And then he gets up out of a hot tub with his cock out. And this girl sees him naked and literally reverses course. And then she becomes his Padawan, his dark side, apprentice. Now, you want to tell me what's sexist? That is sexist. Because you're saying to a girl, oh, well, women can't think when they see the almighty cock in front of them. It was horrible. Kathleen Kennedy was behind it. Kathleen Kennedy's behind the fact that Luke Skywalker died in episode 8. And if he lives, he can be the guy. Forget about just Luke. He can be the guy who teaches Finn a crash course of the Force aboard the Millennium Falcon as they race back to the Resistance base and defeat this new empire of 100,000 people on both sides or whatnot. And you got Luke and Finn crushing 10, 20,000 guys by using the Force, and Chewie's with them, blasting guys with his machine gun. That's what you could have done. And then the quite frankly depressing Luke in episode 8 would have made sense, because okay, Luke gets in his emotions from time to time. He gets into his feels. That's fine for episode 8, only as long as we have Luke Skywalker in the flesh and blood, not as a Force ghost in episode 9, so that he can finally become the Obi-Wan Kenobi character he was destined to be, that George Lucas promised Mark Hamill he would be when he said, you're the Obi-Wan Kenobi when we do more of these. That is exactly what should have happened. If you have, Luke Skywalker, in episode 8, fine. Being a depressed sad sack, then he's got to be a full-on Luke is awesome, and he's kindly, and he's nice, and he's teaching Finn the ways of the Force in episode 9. For Kathleen Kennedy not to understand that, for Kathleen Kennedy not to tell Rian Johnson, love the movie, love the script, can't kill Luke in episode 8. Can't kill him. He falls to the rocks, and that's your cliffhanger. He falls to the rocks, we see Luke's eyes, then we go back to Finn's eyes, blue credits, that's the end. And because we were insinuating there's a connection there. And then Finn saves Luke at the beginning of episode 9. They both transfer Force into one another, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. And it's Luke, and it's Finn, and it's Chewie and R2 and 3PO on the Millennium Falcon going back to the Rebel base while Rey and Kylo Ren do their thing with the Emperor over here. They could have had it. They could have actually kept the most of episodes 8 and 9 similar. As long as you keep Luke Skywalker alive, you could have had a success. You didn't. That is on Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, Rian Johnson deserves never-ending grief and criticism for that god-awful decision. But Kathleen Kennedy, she saw the script. She read the script. She knew what was in it. She's got to say, we can't kill Luke here. Why are we killing Luke here? You've already killed Snoke, the main bad guy. You're killing Luke here after 2 years ago, every single publicity tour that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams did, they said, well, this whole new trilogy is based on who is Luke Skywalker. Apparently, Luke Skywalker is a negative bitch who dies at the end of the second act. And then the third act's got no Luke. If they kept Luke alive, he could have been so beneficial to the Finn character. And then when you have standalone movies, quite frankly, you don't need Sigourney Weaver. You get Luke Skywalker as the Nick Fury, who's sending out different people to different, missions. Obviously, I'm not talking about that, or maybe that should have been it. But what I'm talking about is you could have a standalone Poe movie, X-Wing movie, standalone Finn movie, where he rescues Force-sensitive young people from the clutches of dark side users. You could have another kind of solo, standalone movie, and then the gang gets back together for Rey. And there's a real galactic threat that is bigger than just Poe or Finn or whomever, and we got to get the band back together for Rey. Boom. And Luke is the Nick Fury the whole time, sending the guys out for the missions. That's what you could have had. That is all on Kathleen Kennedy. And Kathleen Kennedy's, adamant thing that we need new Star Wars fans, it's insane. And you wonder, between Sarah from Laney Gossip, between that female critic who deleted this tweet, but remember the tweet where the female critic said, Star Wars needs to get past middle-aged white guys, otherwise the franchise will die when they do. Which was the most heartless, cold, and insulting and offensive piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. She deleted that tweet. That's why I forget her name. But that type of thinking has permeated the Star Wars galaxy the last 5 years, from the Star Wars creators and the critics who clearly have their own agenda. And it's not just enjoying good Star Wars. It's not escaping through Star Wars. It's, I need my issue front and center. I need them talking about it. And if anyone that pushes back, I'm going to say, no, George Lucas was talking about the Vietnam War when Star Wars came out. No, he wasn't, you fucking liar. He wasn't. He wasn't. He has said in many an interview, go read it, that he wanted to escape from Vietnam, escape from Watergate, escape from the assassinations. No, you're wrong. So it's not about we need to get away from middle-aged. You know what middle-aged white guys, you know what they have? They have these things called children. And thus we can multiply these Star Wars fans at a rate better than if the little gremlin gets wet, for Christ's sakes. We can multiply. We do multiply Star Wars fandom. That's what we do. And so when you're just constantly beating down men, it's got to be women Star Wars. And guess what happens? The women are like, yeah, that was fine, but I'm on to the next thing. Meanwhile, the men and who have supported Star Wars for 50 years have been berated, have been antagonized, provoked, and condescended to. And they're not showing up for the movie now. You did it, Star Wars and Lucasfilm and Disney. You did this. And Kathleen Kennedy, you're the number one culprit. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. You fucking suck. And if anyone wants to know why the movie's not doing well in the box office, that's why. People are taking it out on a good movie. We saw it happen with The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew was great. No one watched it because The Acolyte was the biggest piece of dog shit anyone can ever recall seeing. Same thing happened with Solo and Last Jedi. After The Last Jedi, people are like, I'm done with Star Wars for a while. They're not going to show up in the movie theater 5 months later when they still have a bitter taste in their mouth because of this shit. Come on. So Dave Filoni better understand this. He better grasp this. I'm seeing some interviews with Dave Filoni talking about how much he's learned from Favreau, learned from Lucas, and learned from Kathleen Kennedy. I'm like, I like the first two, not the last one. Kathleen Kennedy has never been a creative. She produced Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what her main job was? Getting rubber and real-life snakes. That's what it was. Go watch any documentary that Steven Spielberg does and see when Kathleen Kennedy, when she has a creative idea. You'll be watching these documentaries until the end of time, and you're never going to see that clip. Never. She's a gopher. Congratulations on being in the Producers Guild of America and being seen as one of the most successful producers of all time. You hitched your wagon to Spielberg and Lucas, okay? And you were a fucking gopher. You're in charge of getting rubber snakes. You're not in charge of the creativeness of this shit. This is why a guy like Luke Skywalker gets killed. And this is why the people get upset. And then when the fans rightfully are angry, you never understand public relations. You don't have any PR game and tell your creators and your actors to shut up and stop attacking the fans. So congratulations, Disney. You did this. The movie, 2 9 thumbs up. I loved it. But there are wounds on many of us Star Wars fans that we're still licking. I'm not going to give up on Star Wars. But I'm also not going to pretend like this other shit didn't happen, because it's important to discuss it constantly so that they do not repeat their mistakes. They can never make a show like The Acolyte again. They put a Harvey Weinstein assistant on the show. And for what reason? Why did Leslie Headland get a job here? They let Ryan Johnson kill Luke Skywalker. Hello. So blame yourselves, Disney and Lucasfilm. And in all honesty, this is a situation where we're getting to a point where the smartest thing Disney and Lucasfilm can do is straight up apologize to the fans and acknowledge, you know what? We've made some mistakes. We apologize. We do. And we're taking steps to correct our own mistakes and behavior over the course of the last 3 to 5 years. We're going to take steps to correct it. Star Wars fans, it's all about you. You guys have kept the flame burning for 50 years. We appreciate you. And we appreciate that you have a gold standard when it comes to Star Wars. Because God knows it used to be considered a gold standard franchise in Hollywood. It's not anymore, but it used to be. Maybe it can get back to that level. But at a certain point, mea culpas need to be made. At a certain point, they got to say, you know what? We get it. We understand. We hear you. And we're going to make kick-ass Star Wars movies for Star Wars fans who love the Lucas shit, who love the prequel, who loved episodes 4 through 6, episodes 1 through 3, Clone Wars. We're going to make movies for you guys. Because this whole complete fantasy of, well, we need to make new Star Wars fans is total bullshit. All you've done is fail to make new Star Wars fans and then run off your existing fan base, or at least a huge percentage of your fan base. That's why the movie's in the dumps. That's why a good Star Wars movie, a fun, good, entertaining Star Wars movie is in the toilet. Because you ran the fans off. So figure a way to get them back. Marshall Lucas has passed away. It's another one of the news things we're going to do right here. Remember this thing where Marshall Lucas said J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy have no idea what they're doing with Star Wars. They don't get it. Rest in peace to Marshall Lucas, for real. Because everything she said about Kathleen Kennedy is spot on. And like I said, Force Awakens, to me, it actually got it off to a pretty good start. And if Rian Johnson doesn't kill off Luke Skywalker, there's a chance that the sequel trilogy could have been really good. With Luke and Finn kicking ass, and then Rey and Kylo Ren beating the Emperor. And guess what? You don't kill off Luke, and you don't kill off Kylo Ren / Ben Solo. Jesus Christ. They have no imagination, so everyone just needs to be killed off. You didn't need to do that. You have Luke and Rey in one half of the movie, and the other half is Rey and Kylo Ren killing the Emperor, and everyone lives. Jeez. Marshall Lucas, rest in peace, for real. She was a very opinionated and interesting person. If you watch Star Wars Icons on Earth, which is on the Vice channel, and I watch all of these. There's a Simpsons one. There is a Lord of the Rings one. There's a great one on Marvel. They're all really, really good. They're like 4 to 6 episode documentary, type of things. I strongly advise you go check that out because Marshall Lucas is in it. And she's great. Tom Kane, also the narrator of the Clone Wars and many other voices, has died. Rest in peace to him as well, to Mr. Kane. Another legend. Also, director's commentary of The Mandalorian and Grogu, now available in select cities. You can go into certain movie theaters and hear Jon Favreau and give his director's commentary on the movie. And I wonder if that money goes to the box office tally. And it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. I've already seen The Mando and Grogu twice. I don't think I'm going to see the director's commentary version, but I might go back for a third time. But I'm going to be interested in seeing that director's commentary when it is released on Disney Plus, hopefully. But if you're interested, if you've seen it, if you've seen Mando and Grogu like 6 times, you might be interested in that. So go check that out. Also, finally, Bobby Tamburo, my producer of the Davey Mack Sports program, also with me on other shows, Tales from Satellite. He turned me on to this documentary that just got put out 2 weeks ago on YouTube, where a man's something like $500,000 or an insane amount of money. His Lego Star Wars collection was given to a store, and the store just steals it. All of a sudden it's gone. The guy's like, okay, well, I either want I want my money or I want my merchandise back. And this YouTube guy made a documentary trying to get this guy's Star Wars Lego thing behind. I wish I had more details for you. I didn't write it down stupidly. The point is, if you go to YouTube and go Star Wars Lego thief, thief stolen, put in those keywords. Again, it came out 12 to 14 days ago. It's amazing. And you go down this rabbit hole of insanity as this guy tries to get, as the documentarian, this kid from California, man in his 20s, I believe, tries to get the guy's entire Lego Star Wars collection back for him. It's awesome. It's Star Wars. It's worth watching. So go check that out, and that'll do it. I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for supporting Yaddle Chattle, a Star Wars podcast with yours truly, Darth David. I want to say, make sure you're subscribed and listening and watching the Davey Mack Sports program, Tales from the Satellite, Modern Day Man, hell, the Eastside Dave and Son Wrestling Show, and of course, Yaddle Chattle, a Star Wars podcast. Don't know when the next episode will be. Yaddle Chattle is a post-show show, so when the next movie or series comes out, as long as it's a big time series, I'm not doing Star Wars Visions. I'm sorry. That sucks. But something like Maul, which we just did 4 episodes about, or 5 episodes, go check that out as well. And I want to thank you, and I want to say I love you, and I want to say I love Star Wars. And despite the weak box office, there are ways to get the people back. Hey, for me, it starts with quality. And this was quality. This was, for me, an A-, or maybe even just a solid A. If I'm going to give it a letter grade. I really enjoyed this movie. You got to start with the quality. You got to start with the audience. And you might want to have a public statement or two going like, hey, Star Wars fans, we get it. We get you. We understand where you're coming from. We understand that right now we have to earn back your support, and we're going to do that. And boy, oh boy, will you be happy with Star Wars Starfighter starring Ryan Gosling. And they got to put all their eggs in that basket and make sure that there is tons of action and that they're not talking down to Star Wars fans, putting modern day issues into Star Wars. It's stupid. This is myth. Big archetypes, big generalizations of good versus evil, young versus old, so on and so forth. And we got to get back to war. The reason why Star Wars always had a big male demographic is because they're war movies. Yeah, they're fun. And yeah, you get little monsters and creatures and a little, green dwarf in the form of Yoda and this and that. But they are war movies. Get back to the war. Show us war. And I'm telling you, you will get yourselves a hit. I'm always rooting for Star Wars. But they got to do a couple things to earn the fans' trust back. To me, this was actually somewhat of a decent start because the movie's good. Problem is, no one saw it, because all the Star Wars fans have been chased away by Kathleen Kennedy and company. So they got to get those fans back. They got to keep making kick-ass movies designed for men. Sorry. that swing towards a male demographic and get back to the war and make things big and epic once again. I'm Darth David, Eastside Dave, Davey Mac, saying I love you, Yaddle heads. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. May the Force be with you. Good night, everybody.